Hi, I'm Adam Pritchard, Assistant Curator of Paleontology for the Virginia Museum of Natural History, back with another tale of ancient life. Today, I'm going to talk about entering information into our collections database. That's right, I'm going to guide you through every exciting step of the process of taking individual data points about fossils and putting them into our spreadsheets. It's an exciting process. I'll show you how the whole thing. I guess on the other hand, I could talk about Tyrannosaurus rex. You could easily make an argument that Tyrannosaurus rex is the most famous extinct animal ever discovered, certainly the most famous of all the dinosaur species, and it's truly an amazing animal. 12 to 15 feet tall at the hips, 40 feet long, about the same length as a school bus as an adult. The skull of the adults, usually about 5 feet or so in length. Massive teeth that are shaped honestly more like railroad spikes than the knife-like teeth you see in many other carnivorous dinosaurs. And an animal with a bite force greater than anything living on the planet today, substantially outclassing the saltwater crocodile that has the world's strongest bite in a living animal. T-Rex was unquestionably a top predator in its environment between 68 and 66 million years ago in the western half of North America. T-Rex will always hold a special place in my heart because it was my favorite dinosaur when I was a little kid. I mean, 5-year-old Adam saw this incredible creature that was the biggest carnivorous dinosaur known at the time. Incredibly powerful bite force, seemingly super ferocious predator. It ticked all the boxes for things I would like. Fortunately, I've matured at least a little bit. But T-Rex remains my favorite dinosaur. And I'll tell you why. First off, do you have anything to say for yourself? What's your favorite dinosaur? You seen the new Wild Safari models? What do you think? Pretty accurate? Going too far on the feathers? We've actually been able to learn a lot about the biology of Tyrannosaurus rex over the past 115 years since its initial discovery, including all kinds of facts about how it interacted with its environment, how fast it could move. T-Rex was actually likely not a particularly fast animal. It could outrun me pretty easily, but a speeding Jeep in the jungles of Jurassic Park, probably not quite that fast. But how fast do you need to be when your prey animals include giants like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, which likely wouldn't have been all that fast themselves? Partially as a consequence of having such an exceptionally wide back of the skull, T-Rex's orbits, or eye cavities, actually face pretty much forward rather than to the side like most carnivorous dinosaurs and most dinosaurs in general. So it's possible that this was an animal with binocular vision. Probably would have been helpful. I like having binocular vision. The VMNH houses a number of original specimens of Tyrannosaurus rex in addition to our cast, including this lovely left lower jawbone called the dentary, a number of isolated teeth, because Tyrannosaurs shed their teeth throughout their lives and grew new ones. It's important to note here that our fossils of Tyrannosaurus and other specimens from the late Cretaceous of western North America were primarily collected by Shenandoah Valley Discovery Museum and Shenandoah University paleontologists like Jeb Bennett and John Happ. We're very proud to house those collections here at the VMNH and continue to educate people about the late Cretaceous. Fossils of T-Rex are only found in the western half of North America in rocks that are between 68 and 66 million years old. The species appears to have had an extraordinary range all the way south to Texas and far north into Alberta and Saskatchewan in Canada and every place in between. It shared the swampy bayous, forests, and floodplains of western North America with other dinosaurs like Triceratops and giant duckbills like Edmontosaurus, armored dinosaurs like Ankylosaurus and Edmontonia, the bone-headed Pachycephalosaurus, a number of smaller species including herbivores like Thescelosaurus, and small carnivores including Troodonts and Dromaeosaurs, raptor dinosaurs. And it wasn't just dinosaurs. There are a lot of mammalian species, ancient crocodilians, salamanders, frogs, and an assortment of lizards and snakes. One thing I remember from dinosaur media from when I was a kid, a while ago, was that T-Rex was supposed to be a very rare dinosaur. We didn't have many skeletons to go on in terms of talking about T-Rex. But in the past 30 years, that has changed a lot. Intensive work in Western North America, particularly by teams from Montana's Museum of the Rockies, have looked at the environments that T-Rex lived in and have recovered quite a few specimens. There are well over a dozen decent skeletons of T-Rex now, some of them nearly complete, others much more fragmentary. But as a result, we have a much more complete picture at this point of what Tyrannosaurus rex and its environment were like. One thing that I find fascinating about T-Rex is it's not the only member of the Tyrannosaur family. Here's VMNH Paleontology Technician Lucy Treado with her favorite Tyrannosaur, Appalachiosaurus montgomeryensis.
This is our skull cast of Appalachiosaurus. Do you want to cue the banjo music? I'll wait. Appalachiosaurus is a tyrannosaur from the late Cretaceous of Alabama. The original and only skull and skeleton were discovered in a fossil marine deposit in 1982. Eventually, paleontologist Thomas Carr and his colleagues described the specimen in 2005. Appalachiosaurus is smaller than a T-Rex. Its overall length is about 25 feet and it weighed about 1,500 pounds, which is heavier than the largest polar bear. In addition, it has a narrower skull, especially in the back. Its eyes face to the side as opposed to the forward facing of a T-Rex. And the overall body of Appalachiosaurus was much more slender, especially the leg bones.
Appalachiosaurus is actually just one of dozens of carnivorous dinosaur species that have been discovered in the past 30 years, and they really expand the picture of what we know about these animals, including some that are every bit as large as Tyrannosaurus rex, giant allosaurs like Giganotosaurus and Tyrannotitan, and the extremely weird crocodile-snouted Spinosaurs like Spinosaurus. So, parts of what made T-Rex so cool to young Adam Pritchard, its unique bigness, are no longer unique. But the animal remains one of my favorite dinosaurs to think about. And that's because, like myself, a lot of paleontologists were really inspired by this incredible species, so much so that they've made studying it part of their lives' work. Some paleontologists have investigated the spaces behind the eyes of Tyrannosaurus rex that housed its jaw muscles. There's also some paleontologists that have investigated the sensory apparatus of T-Rex and how exactly that differed from other carnivorous dinosaurs. And also the housing for the brain, which I'm sorry to say T-Rex, it just wasn't all that big considering your body size. But the housing for the brain gives us some idea of how prominent some of those sensory structures were. For example, T-Rex seems to have had a really impressive sense of smell and a decent sense of sight as well. There's also been a lot of work done on injuries to specimens of Tyrannosaurus rex. Quite a few of their skulls and their skeletons actually are kind of beat up, which tell us a lot about the lives of the animals, diseases they got, and indeed that there was a lot of biting of the face of Tyrannosaurus by other Tyrannosaurus. Now, we don't just learn about Tyrannosaurus rex and its world from specimens of Tyrannosaurus rex, because T-Rex leave traces of their activities in other places. This is a broken and partially healed horn from behind the eyes of Triceratops. It was actually discovered in the same area as our VMNH T-Rex specimen, and it's pretty striking. It has been suggested that this specimen represents a failed attack of a Tyrannosaurus rex on a Triceratops. And you can see that this horn has some pretty massive punctures right here on its surface, near where it's been broken off. It's actually about half the length of the other horn, which seems to have never been broken in the same individual of Triceratops. And this is not the only specimen to have probable traces of Tyrannosaurus rex bites in them. There are quite a few specimens of Triceratops and Edmontosaurus and even other Tyrannosaurus rex that preserve gouge marks from powerful bites and scrape marks from, kind of gnawing bites of large tyrannosaurs. This was an animal that, fortunately, liked to leave a lot of evidence of how it fed in the fossil record. You hungry? Honestly, it doesn't look like the tastiest part, but you apparently liked it. Man, I hate it when my pets don't eat. It always makes me nervous. Studies of the shape of tyrannosaur teeth and indentations of those teeth into the bones of animals like Triceratops or Edmontosaurus show us that T-Rex was kind of unique among big carnivorous dinosaurs in that it really crunched through the bones of the animals it was eating. It was quite common to leave groove marks in bones for other carnivorous dinosaurs, but T-Rex seems to have an almost hyena-like specialization, a special portion of its diet dedicated to crunching up and digesting the bones of other dinosaurs. We have some paleontologists who are looking at the limb bones of these animals, not only to look at the way their leg muscles were put together, how powerful they were, how fast that would have allowed the animal to move, but also to investigate the internal structure that shows us some of the growth record, basically how old a tyrannosaur could get. Sections through the limb bones of this specimen suggest it reached an age of about 20 years old, just about reaching adulthood for Tyrannosaurus rex. They seem to have undergone a major growth spurt between about 12 and 18 years old. Sound familiar? But the oldest tyrannosaurs don't seem to have gotten past the age of 30. And to me, it's the investigation of this incredible animal. A giant, an incredibly powerful bite, a force of nature in the ecosystem it lived in, no doubt. But it's one we understand a lot because scientists have spent so much time and work examining the fossils, discovering new fossils, examining the world that T-Rex lived in, and comparing what we see in Tyrannosaurus rex with species of modern animals. But there's a lot we don't know about T-Rex. We don't know what the babies look like. We don't have any T-Rex eggs. At this point, we don't know what the skin of the whole animal looks like. We've got some patches of scaly skin, but it's not clear what the whole animal would have looked like. We don't know how T-Rex digested all of the bone it got into its diet. We don't know a lot about how this incredible species actually operated in its ancient environment. So, there's a little part of Adam Pritchard that is still just in awe of Tyrannosaurus rex for all the same reason that 5-year-old Adam was. It's huge. It's powerful. It's the top of the food chain in the ancient past. But it's still an awe-inspiring animal in that this strange creature that lived so far in the past, 66 million years ago, these animals vanish. But we still know a lot about it thanks to the dedicated work of scientists who were inspired to understand this giant. And maybe you could learn something about Tyrannosaurus rex as well. Here's an assignment for any young scientists at home right now. I want you to think up a scientific question about Tyrannosaurus rex. What's something that you want to know about this amazing animal? Be happy to take a look at any of those questions if you want to post them in VMNH social media. And I'm hoping that some of the questions don't have easy answers. And I'm hoping future paleontologists, you pointing at the camera, pointing, metaphorically at the audience, you, could help us discover new tales about this ancient life. Does that bug you? You're self-conscious about the arms? We still don't know what the arms are for. They got lots of muscles, but we don't know what they did with them. Figure that out too.